but I'll talk to you about that a little bit later. Also, something I also wanted to touch on because structuring and property and all that stuff. I mean, people can't even scratch the surface. Can you hear me properly?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. I'm just getting a feedback. I don't know what is that about, but I'm sure. Let me just switch on off the video on, sorry, the sound on. Do you also get the feedback I'm talking about?
No.
Really? So it should be on my side, eh? Okay. All right. So now we're gonna be broadcasting and going live. The ones who are coming in right now, then we can welcome them. And then we always have people who come using African time. So this one will be.
I'm gonna just try something quickly. Just give me a second. It could be that.
Oh, okay. Welcome, guys. Welcome. I am here with Nigel today. You're at the right webinar. We're going to be talking about property fundamentals. And yes, welcome. You're at the right webinar. We're going to be talking about property fundamentals today. So we know that we have other people who are coming at African time. So we want to welcome you guys who are coming here early. And I want to congratulate you for doing that. So that's good. Otherwise, tell us where you guys are watching from in the chat box. I want to welcome you. Also, if it's your first time watching the webinars, let us know and let me know. Let me welcome you directly. This is what we do. We try to have as interactive webinars as possible because, I mean, social distancing is happening right now. You cannot see too many people at once, but we don't have to be social distancing on Zoom at this point. So I think we can have good conversations here. So let me know where you guys are watching from and what you guys are excited to hear about. And also, if it's your first time, let me know in the chat box if it's your first time watching this webinars, and let me welcome you directly. So just tap in there and let me know, where you guys are watching from. I'd like to know. And we're going to be waiting for more people. I think we're going to be starting in around 2-3 minutes. Because we're supposed to start at 12 directly. But otherwise, let's have a chat, guys. Let's have a chat. Let me know where you guys are watching from. And from some Sunset West. Oh, that's Naomi. Okay, welcome, Naomi, from am I saying it correctly? Sunset West. That's Cape Town, right? So you have a lot of Cape Town people there. Welcome, Naomi. It's good to have you on the webinar. And where you other guys watching from? Let us know. Let us know in the comments there in the chat box where you guys watching from, so we can welcome you also. And thank you. Not a problem. 100%. Let me know if you're just joining us. Let me know in the comments, in the chat box, actually, where you guys are watching from. And let me welcome you guys directly. And also, if it's your first time watching this, and 100%, I think you're going to be enjoying it. 100%, Naomi. We have these sessions every Thursday with real estate experts like Nigel and finance experts also that we get to keep updated with the markets, do live stream trainings. And some of the things that we try to do also is based on what our community is requiring at the time. So if you guys want us to touch on some other interesting topics that we never touched on, also let us know. Okay, I see Katleo saying watching from Johannesburg. Welcome, Katleo. It's good to have you here. And don't worry, we're going to make sure that this is a very packed session that we're going to be having with you guys today. And you guys are going to be enjoying every bit of it. Otherwise, other people who are also joining us today, can you guys let us know where you guys are watching from? And I want to welcome you guys so we can all, be enjoying this webinar today. And I look forward to, I hope you guys are also excited as I am to getting as much information, as much knowledge as we can from Nigel, who's our guest today. And I think that there's a lot to learn from this man and also his wealth of experience. Otherwise, I want you guys to let us know where you guys are watching from in the comments. Let me welcome you guys. And also, if it's your first time joining our webinars, I'd love to welcome you guys. And we have to have an interactive webinar. That's our culture here. And we don't want to miss out on that any day for any reason, actually. So let me know where you guys are watching from. And then let me welcome you. Okay, Rajaram from India. Rajaram, it's good to have you. It's good to have you, man. Otherwise, also, I think it's your first time also. Let me know if it's your first time watching this webinar. And welcome, man. Welcome. It's good to have people from India, from Johannesburg, from Cape Town, and where you other guys watching from. Where you guys other guys watching from? Let me know in the comments. And let me welcome you guys to the webinar. We're going to be talking about property fundamentals and exactly how to get started in your property journey. Maybe somebody who's looking to get started And if you're somebody who already started, there's going to be some of the things that you're going to be touching on that you're going to be benefiting more on how you're going to be expanding your real estate portfolio. Okay, so I think we can start beginning. Hey, all of you, looking forward to an exceptional session. Oh, Carlo, welcome, man, welcome, 100%. I'm going to try to add as much value as we can for you guys. Okay, first thing first, welcome everybody who just joined us today. I'm going to be talking about property fundamentals, exactly how to get started in your property journey. And we want you guys, afternoon, Leroy, thanks a lot for joining us today. Welcome also, I think you are one of our regular guys here. And I also tell the Leroy story, but those who know me, they know the Leroy story. So today is not about that. I'm going to be asking Nigel a couple of questions here, and I also want you guys to be also asking us some of the questions that you might have about getting started in real estate. One thing for sure is the chat box. So technical issues, if you guys can hear me, can hear Nigel, just let us know in the chat box. And then also let me know where you're watching from. That's very, very important. We try to make this webinars as interactive as possible. And then the second thing, the Q&A box, when we're going to be talking and we have going through the live stream today, there's going to be a lot of questions that are coming up. And I want you guys to be able to, send us those questions. And some of the questions you might have been having these questions yourself, and you're thinking, okay, I've been wanting to get into real estate. I don't know where to start. This is the right platform for you to actually ask those questions. And obviously, there are some of the things, maybe you are already in the real estate journey and you're having some difficulties here and there. I want you to take advantage of these sessions, and especially even today also. Use the Q&A box to send us a question, and then we will definitely answer that before the end of the webinar. I see Maureen Maluleka saying she's watching from Sechiron. Welcome, Maureen. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. And, you're going to have a very, very packed session today. You're going to enjoy it. So that's the Q&A also. And then also we have a free ebook on, if you guys haven't got a free ebook, we'll also be sending it to the chat box now. Get the ebook there and enjoy yourself. I'm also going to be sending you the details of the EDPF Academy, also the EDPF websites in the chat box. Actually, I want to do that towards the end so everybody else can be able to get it for other people who are still joining us. So you guys can get in touch with Nigel and see what these guys are doing there, because they're doing some incredible stuff. These guys are looking to do 100 billion rands in 10 years. I want Nigel to tell us a little bit more about that. I want to be part of that too. So I'm sure you guys want to be part of that, right? Let me know if you guys want to be part of, putting 100 billion rand together in 10 years. Tell me in the comments. Tell me in the comments if you want to be part of that. Let me know. Definitely. 100%. That's good to hear. That's good to hear. Welcome, Karao. Karao is also one of my students too. She's very ambitious. Good to have you here. What's the fundamental question about agent? Okay, cool. Keep the questions coming also in the Q&A. That's cool. That's cool. Okay, I see Naomi saying, why not? Why not? 100%. Why not? Why not get involved in this and be part of the 100 billion rand? Otherwise, I look forward to having, make sure that you guys have a good session here. So get the ebook if you haven't got that. And I also think we have a course link. I don't know if I sent that to you guys. For those who want to learn how to close your first deal step by step, this is the most practical course you can ever have, because I'm going to drill you guys when you're joining us here. So just check it out here and check the information there. See if there's something that can be able to help you on your real estate journey. All right, so let's get started, guys. I think we're a little bit 5 minutes in already. So when you guys ask questions, also let us know where you guys are watching from. It's very, very important. We try to keep this webinar as interactive as possible. That's something I wanted to stress again. And then one more thing is, if you have any devices in front of you, I just want you for the next 45 minutes to be focusing on this live stream. We're going to try to add as much video as we can. And if you focus and pay attention, we will make sure that you won't regret this. And this is going to be the best investment you made today. So we would like your full attention as we go forward. So otherwise, ladies and gentlemen, let's just welcome Nigel here. So a little bit about Nigel. He's the Chief Executive Officer of Enterprise Development Property Fund, which is an impact fund with a mission to empower Black entrepreneurs who wish to enter the property sector. So working with the Property Sector Charter Council and the SA Institute of Black Property Practitioners, Black Umbrellas, government and non-government institutions, and the banking and property sectors at large, EDPF has set out to transform the 5.8 trillion property sector that has been slow or unwilling to be part of the transformational process. And the main focus of this fund is to change the way South Africans think about property and change the landscape of ownership in South Africa, so to create opportunities for HDIs in the sector. And previously, the director of operations for Billion Asset Managers. And Nigel has over 20 years of experience across wide range sectors within the property industry. So Nigel has a lot of experience in this. And Nigel, one of the things that you are involved in was you were previously a member in the subcommittee of BEE of the Seriets Association and chairman of the Black Umbrellas, an incubator of SMEs with 9 branches in 7 provinces. And you continue to work on Black empowerment strategies in this current position. So Nigel, welcome, and it's good to have you today.
Thank you, Ezra. I was muted there for a minute, so I couldn't speak. But thank you for allowing me again onto your platform. And I look forward to engaging with your people. I see quite a few of our students are also on the platform today.
100%, 100%. I must tell you, you have great students, man. They love you. When we put in our posters up, I just saw most of them. Some of them I actually know them because we had you a couple of times here. And now I'm getting familiar with this guy. So it means that you guys are doing some good work as EDPF. But before we get into that and what you guys are doing, some incredible stuff that you guys are doing there, tell me about Nigel before EDPF and how did you get into, how did that come about actually?
That's a long story. So you see, I put up my virtual background instead because there were people walking behind me.
Yeah.
I don't want you guys to be disturbed, so I'll put up our virtual background in the meantime. Okay, so like you said, I've got about 20 years of experience in the sector, mainly working in commercial, retail, and a bit of student accommodation, and very little within the residential space. I've been involved in 2 listed property funds, Ascension Properties and Rebosis. I was the director, as you say, of operations at the Billion Group. I started my property journey at JHI, a facilities and property management company, one of the biggest, one of the, I think, top 2 in the country next to Brawl. From there, I moved to Old Mutual Properties, worked there a couple of years as a financial manager for the Gauteng region in their retail division, then moved to Cape Town, back to Cape Town to be part of their new business development division. So yeah, I've had quite a few interesting experiences in the property sector, working with different groups and with different types of facilities. My last job was as senior asset manager for a portfolio of close to 20 billion rand. Looking after 200 staff across the country. The stage where I realized that transformation in the property sector is non-existent. I've spoken to a number of the top property CEOs in the country who I left corporate, our transformation, trying to make a difference. But unfortunately, in my years of experience in the corporate sector, I've come to realize that there's very little appetite for transformation within the sector. So while I was still with Rebosis, I put together the program, as you now know it, as Enterprise Development Property Fund. Put together the program, I developed a curriculum, and in 2017, eventually kicked off full-time. So I quit my job in corporate, where I left behind quite a significant salary as senior asset manager, but I knew I had to do this. This is something that was burning in my gut. I couldn't, I could not sit idly by in the corporate sector and watch this industry not transform.
True.
So, the old adage that says, if not me, then who? If not now.
Yes.
And that's really what drove me. out of the corporate sector to say, I have to do it and I have to do it now. So I left Joburg in 2016, moved back to Cape Town to take a bit of a breather. And in 2017, I then started the EDPF. By 2018, the curriculum was all set. Course material was all done. I'd secured all of my trainers. And by 2018, we took on our first cohorts in Cape Town and Joburg. And now, third year of actual operations, we've got 3 groups in Cape Town and 3 groups in Joburg, first, second, and third years. And this year, the first year, we actually graduate a group of about 28 candidates that came on board in 2018. Wow.
That's incredible.
So that's sort of my property journey. I can tell you 1,000 other things about other involved in, like Black Umbrellas, as you mentioned. I was one of the founding members of Black Umbrellas, which became Shanduka Black Umbrellas. I was the first chairman there. And but when we listed our first company, Ascension, on the stock exchange, I unfortunately had to step aside from my incubator work and then moved into corporate. That incubator, 9 branches around the country, supported over 3,000 businesses, more than 10,000 jobs created, and is now going to Africa. I've decided to focus on the property sector. So I started something very similar, but specifically geared towards the built environment and the property sector.
100%, 100%.
As you can see from my logo here on my right, your left, or my left, your right. Get it? Changing the landscape of property in South Africa. That's our main aim, our vision.
Yeah. Property.
So even though we give our candidates 14 different certificates in things like facilities management, property management, energy efficiency, occupational health and safety, and a whole host of other things that we teach.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, and I always tell my candidates, if you do not, by the end of the program, have your first title deed, then I have failed you. As an educator, I have failed you. Because
100%.
Is that you get your first property deal and then move from there to build a property portfolio.
100%. That's actually a good thing. But I just want to talk about a little bit about transformation in real estate. Look, the sector is huge. We all know that the players who are playing more in commercial are big players, big companies. As you mentioned, a lot of companies that are big there and a lot of brands. And one of the things that I'm seeing that the transformation that is being tried is, giving out opportunities like, inner city development and things like that. And obviously trying to figure out other avenues or other ways people can be exploited to get started in real estate. I just wanted to ask you, this is more of a business questions before we get into obviously what you guys do. What are some of the struggles that you guys had when you started with EDPF and then trying to tap into this big market of transformation? I mean, 5.8 trillion rand, that is not transformed. I think that the previous excuse was we cannot measure the size of the industry. So that's why the transformation was not done. And then at some point, there was a point where they say, okay, now we can measure the size of the industry. So how does the transformation happen now? So what are some of the challenges that you guys had? And then what are some of the ways that you managed to come on top of those things and on this journey?
So, look, the biggest challenge, obviously, in anything you do is finance.
Yes.
Able to do something like this takes an enormous amount of money in order to get it going, first of all. And then obviously to keep it going and expand and scale the business and the opportunity. So finance obviously has been and always will be a big challenge.
Yes.
And what we've decided as an organization to do is to, instead of constantly relying on enterprise and supply development money or skills development money or CSI money, to rather focus on building a business that will be self-generating, so that at the end of the day, it will be self-sustainable.
Yeah.
Really, what our main focus is building this business to become self-sustainable. But it remains a challenge today. I mean, with the lockdown, everybody's cash flows is all but destroyed. So managing a business through through a challenge like the COVID pandemic and the lockdown has been enormously challenging, not just for ourselves, but everybody around the world.
True.
But you know, it's the same challenges you'll have anyway as an entrepreneur who wants to get your business going, except that it was amplified by this lockdown and the fact that people can't, you know, you got to social distance, you got to stay at home if you show any symptoms, etc. So this has really just amplified the kind of things that an SME goes through.
100%.
One was finance. Number two was buy-in. You know, everybody I've ever spoken to over the last 4 years about this this project was very excited. Loved the idea. CEOs of every company, the banks, everyone loved it. But asked them to give me a check. That's another story.
Isn't that always the case?
So that's been the biggest challenge. Then, in terms of, you know, like I said, second thing, buy-in, getting actually buy into the idea, and we've been fortunate in that a lot of the corporates have come on board and they've said, okay, we won't give you money, but what we will do is give you support. So you'll see on our academy website, there's a long list of organizations like Lightstone, like Roberts Attorneys, TPN, Terra Firma, and a whole host of them that have come on board to support the organization through different means. Some of them have given us this access to their training. For example, Terra Firma will normally charge between 6,000 and 12,000 Rand for a 3-day course. They've given us for free. So plus 5 courses, which is worth about 40,000 Rand per candidate.
Wow.
So you see the numbers, 120 candidates, that's 4.8 million Rand. In terms of training towards helping these candidates to enhance their own capacities.
100%.
Then Attack, Oricon and a couple of others who've given us access to their facilities where we go and do training there and they pay for the catering and so on. That's been sort of the theme for the last 3 years until today. We are now able to run our training here at our own academy. So what you see, even though this is a virtual image, this is a picture of our actual academy here in Pinelands in Cape Town.
100%.
Hopefully, at the end of the year, we'll have our Joburg one up and running, and by next year, Malanga, and then we'll go to KwaZulu, and we'll try and expand to a facility like this across the country, one in every province.
100%, but I mean, it sounds like there's sheer persistence that's going there. And I mean, at the end of the day, you know, even during this COVID thing, I think that as much as businesses are getting affected, there's a lot of creativity that's coming out of the pressure, you know, and that creativity is allowing, you know, us to look at things differently, try new things, and also look at different avenues to actually still meet our goals, still be able to help other people, and also still be able to enable other people with education, with skills, with other services that you guys also provide. And the same thing is happening on our side too. I just wanted to say though, you did mention that the lockdown did have an effect on business, but most of the people who are here also, some of them I think there might be, or some of the queries that we were getting actually was, Ezra, or the lockdown messed up my plans. I was planning on starting to invest in real estate this year, but the lockdown is here and then we don't know what's going to be happening. I wanted to ask your look on the market being affected by COVID, and what are you seeing, the good, the bad, and the ugly on that effects of COVID-19?
So, yeah, look, I mean, people often ask me, you know, what do you see for the future of property? I don't have a crystal ball. I made predictions which came true. Like, for example, the interest rates dropping on a consistent basis. And I have a feeling that within the next month, we'll get another 50 basis points drop on the interest rate. I am hearing some rumors, so there may very well be another drop in the interest rate. The problem with the drops that we're currently seeing is that it's not going to last. When when they find a cure or a vaccine, slowly but surely you'll see the interest rate increasing again. So it's all about to say it's fantastic now. We've got a great interest rate to buy. Unless you can fix that interest rate, you are going to be in for a world of pain in a year and a half's time when the interest rate goes back to normal. So if you assume that if you buy now and you're paying 7.25% interest, and your deal is cash positive now, in a year's time or 2 years' time, when the interest rate goes back up to 10%, you're going to be in for a world of pain, like I said, because you may then not be cash flow positive anymore. So even though the opportunities are enormous now, there's lots of opportunities, and in last week's discussion, I sort of made a tongue-in-cheek, very dark joke where I said, you'll see a lot of divorces coming now because of COVID. So that will be an opportunity in terms of purchasing property, because if you become an investor and you buy property, you'll find a lot of demand because people are, husbands and wives are leaving one another. Now, as much as it's a dark sort of thing to think about, it's the reality of the COVID pandemic and one of the results of it, which then means that there is opportunity. However, what I need to caution people on is that unless you can, like I said, unless you can fix your interest rate, what you need to do is make sure that even at 10% on your interest rate, at 10%, you're still going to be cash positive. Then it possibly could be a deal that will be worth doing. So if I find a property and it's R1 million and my current bond is 7,200 Rand or 6,900 Rand at the current interest rate, and my other expenses is say $1,000, that's, let's call it 8,000 Rand in total. But my income is 10,000 Rand. So I'm positive by 2,000 Rand. I need to look at that and say, what would I have been paying if my interest rate was 10%? So then my bond would probably be 10,000 Rand. So if my bond was 10,000 Rand and my other expenses is 1,000 Rand, but my income's only 10, that means I'm going to be cash negative by 1,000 Rand. So when you do your due diligence or your feasibility, then you need to make sure that the numbers still work at the 10% interest rate, because then you know that when this thing is over and the interest rate goes back to normal, you'll still be cash positive. So that's the main takeaway that I have from this lockdown, is that albeit that there are many, many opportunities available now, make sure that when this thing is done, you can still survive, your cash flow will still be positive.
I definitely agree with you on that. And I mean, that's something I've also been telling my students to try to actually just run numbers on 10% rather. Then we know that you have a little bit of a discount that you're saving on the interest right now, but just run everything on 10% and be a little bit realistic. I think that's the best way to also just do it. Because if you run it at the current interest rates and then you take it up also, it is something that you can look into, but I think that running it at 10% is much more realistic, especially as you're looking at the interest rate getting back up in the next 18 months or so.
But having said that, though, Ezra, even though I'm pessimistic where that's concerned, I'm very optimistic in terms of the market as it stands at the moment, and if it's going to get even better for investors. Because people will be struggling, people will be moving out of homes and trying to, like I said, you'll have divorcees looking for properties. And I've already seen some of it happen in the UK market. So if you follow what's happening in the UK market and in the States, you will find that in South Africa, we're normally about 2 years behind what happens in Europe and in the States. So it is almost like having a crystal ball. Because if you look at what happens there, you'll know that in a couple of months to 2 years' time, that very same thing's going to happen here. I mean, if you look at the crash in 2008, if it hadn't been for the 2010, for the World Cup being here in South Africa, we would have been in the same position that the rest of the world would have been in or was by 2010. But then the World Cup happened, so that helped our economy a little bit. But by 2011, we were there. We were in that same position as everybody else in the world was, where our economy was taking a dive, and it just kept on going. And I mean, we know there's a lot of political stuff that happened and all of that that added to the pain. But at the end of the day, if you follow the European and the American market, we are generally a couple of months to 2 years behind them. So you almost, like I said, almost have a crystal ball to look into to say what is going to happen in the South African market. Just look at America, look at the UK, and then you'll know what's going to happen in 2 years' time in this country. But the pandemic has destroyed everything, and all models are out the window. So you need to really have your out now as an investor, and make sure that whatever you do, first of all, that you look at it as if the interest rates are normal. Number two, make sure that if you bring a tenant into a property that you are now renting, that is in an industry that won't lose their momentum.
Yeah.
So if you, for example, have a tenant that's a nurse or a doctor,
yeah,
you most likely won't have a problem with rent. If you have somebody in the IT industry, you most likely have a problem with somebody with rent, because the IT industry has actually boomed in this. Why? Because everybody wants to work from home now.
True.
But that caused a bit of Zoom fatigue. I know personally I've got massive Zoom fatigue. I'm actually back at office because I was allowed the 1st of June to come back, and I just said, you know what, bugger this, I'm going back to the office. I can't stay at home every day. so a lot of people are now slowly coming back to the office, but you can see in the traffic that people aren't taking chances. The traffic is close to what it was before the pandemic. So clearly people are still working from home. So the IT industry is definitely booming. So if you find an industry that has made it through the pandemic, that's the kind of people that you want to have in your investment property, because you know your income is secure.
Meaning that things like restaurants and the other industries in tourism and the likes, if you have tenants from those ones, when the UIF is done, then you're going to start seeing trouble there. That makes sense. I mean, I never actually thought about that too, but that's a very good point. So I wanted to say that most of also investors are seeing that these current rates are also enabling a lot of first-time investors who want to get into the market. And I think that is a good tip that you give them, to run everything on 10% and be realistic there about the changing market conditions, which things might be changing in a few months or so, especially when the vaccine is made available. And also, we see that a lot of people who are looking to upskill themselves and then learn how to start investing in real estate, which is something very, very interesting. And also, they just looking to sort of build some financial security, because things are uncertain at this point, and nobody knows what's going to be happening the next day or two. One of the things I also I keep asking myself, and I was teaching myself and my investors, also my students, was to start learning how to invest in real estate using the no money down and all of those things, and some of the property fundamentals. We actually ran a survey last week in our community to check, what other topics would people like to hear about, and we picked up that a lot of people would like to hear, how do I get started in the real estate journey? And that's what inspired today's topic also, to touch on how do I get started in the investment journey. So some of the things I want us to touch on today include the A to Z guide of starting a property journey. That's just basically giving us a breakdown of how does somebody get started in their property journey, and then also property finance for beginners, available options and avenue that people can get started and look into. And then also just how can the first-time investors simplify the real estate investing for them, not to bend their fingers, their hands, and things like that. So those are some of the things that I wanted us to touch on. So the first question I wanted to ask you was, what would you advise about getting started in the real estate journey or real estate sector for somebody who's looking to get started at this point?
Okay, so this is going to be about a 7-hour session.
7 We don't have that long. We don't have that long.
Yeah, we've got 30 minutes left, and I've only got 15 minutes to do a crash course in property investment. So depending on what type of, let me just kill my screen again because it's quite annoying when that haze happens. Just give me a second quickly. Just want to kill that screen. Okay. Hopefully nobody will be walking around behind me. Okay. So let me try and condense some of the stuff that I would normally do with my students in terms of getting started. So I'm going to pull up my own screen here, so I won't see you, but so that I can at least get my bearings. There are a couple of things that you need to, in terms of creating sort of what I call a setup for financial freedom. All right. Ultimately, that's what we all want. We all want financial freedom, and we want to be in a space where we don't need to worry about money. Because ultimately, that's one of the biggest things we always worry about is money. So to create a scenario of financial freedom in your own life, property is one of the ways to do it. It is not the only way. There are other ways that you can create financial freedom. You can, get good at being part of the stock market and invest there. You can invest in a business and a whole host of other things that you can do. I've decided to focus all of my attention on property, so that's what I'm going to talk about today. So in order to create financial freedom in the property sector, there's a few things that you need to do. Number one, set yourself proper goals. And like Covey says, start with the end in mind. So you know where you want to go, all right? You need to create an environment that allows you to get there. In order to do that, you need to set goals. So now that you know where you want to be financially free. What does that mean to you as an individual? Financial freedom means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. So let's say you need 20,000 Rand a month to live. In order to achieve that, you need to, if you want to do it as a property investment, you need to build a certain size of a property portfolio. For 20,000 Rands worth of net income, you're probably looking at about the 2.5 to 3 million Rand property portfolio. That will bring you that kind of rental income per month. But that's only if you have no bond, which then means that if you want to build a portfolio like that, you'll only reach your goal in about 10 to 20 years' time once your bond is. So if you know that your goal is to have 20,000 Rands worth of income per month, bearing in mind though, one of the things you need to understand is something called the time value of money. 20,000 today is not the same as 20,000 in 10 years' time, because the value of money decreases because the cost of living increases. So you need to make sure that if you say 20,000 is what I need today, look at the history of the value of money and then say, what is the value of that 20,000 going to be in about 10 or 20 years' time? Once you know that number, and I would hazard a guess to say, let's double that, let's make it 40,000. So if today you can live on 20,000, in 20 years' time, you should be living on 40,000, which then means that in 20 years' time, you need a portfolio that's bringing you a rental income probably of about 50, maybe even 60,000 to defray your other costs. So that's your goal, building a portfolio that will give you that type of income. All right. So now that you've set your goal, the next thing is to educate yourself on how to get there. A lot of people just jump in and they do their thing and they burn their fingers. I know I have. I've burned my fingers many times. I've lost a lot of money. If you hear my story, you'll fall off your chair at the amount of money that I've lost in the property sector. But I did it by trial and error. I did not have a coach that was guiding me through every specific part and access and getting financing and getting the right deals, etc., etc. So I would recommend you get the right education. Then you need to, once you've received the education, you need to build the cash flow. One of the biggest mistakes people make is to say, I'm going to get X amount of rental income, and that's going to give me what I'm looking for, but they forget that they have expenses. They've got a bond to pay. They've got levies to pay. They've got municipal costs to pay. They may even have staff to pay, cleaners, security companies, guys who do your gardening, your repairs and maintenance, etc. So you need to make sure that whatever you do gives you the positive cash flow that you need. Cash flow is very, very important. Income is one thing, but cash flow is king, as they always say. Okay, then making sure that you invest in the right deals. Finding the right deals to invest in the right markets, at the right time, and in the right communities that is in demand. You don't want to be investing in communities where that type of property is in demand. So investing in the right areas. Then making sure that you don't take out the money and using it. Keep with your job, stay in your job if you're not a professional property investor yet. Stay in your job until such time that your net rental income is more than what your job is giving you. And at that point, you can make a decision as to whether you then want to become a professional property investor and only do that versus continuing with your job and still doing this as a sideline thing. So that's a decision you have to make, and it's a personal decision. Nobody can tell you when the right time is to step out of your job and then go do this permanently. So making sure that you build that portfolio. So when the money comes in, don't use it. Reinvest. The importance of reinvestment comes out in compound interest. If anybody understands what compound interest means, you'll know what I'm talking about. When you get interest on, you put money into the bank, you get interest. If you take that interest out, the next time you get interest again will only be on the capital. If, however, you leave the interest in, you're getting interest then on the capital, plus you get more interest on the interest as well. And the more that interest grows, the more the interest on the interest grows. That's what they call compound interest. So if you reinvest your money, your portfolio will grow and you'll earn more money on the money that you've earned. Similar concept to compound interest. Then making sure you buy the right assets. So there's a lot of people that will tell you, and I will recommend the same thing. Buy the worst property on the best street in the best neighborhood. And what that does for you is, if you've got the worst property in the best street in the best neighborhood, you can revamp that property and the property value will increase because the best neighborhoods and the best streets are always in demand. So if you then go and invest into the worst property, you put in some money, some capital in order to fix it up, you can then either sell it for a much higher price or you can rent it out for a much higher rental income. So having the right assets in the right place, in the right community, etc., etc. And then get ready for what they call a new reality. Make sure that you commit yourself to this new reality. As a property investor, there's a couple of things, hard things, that you will have to do. You will have to make some tough decisions because, let's say, for example, your husband or your wife wants to go on holiday. You've got 50,000 Rand that you've saved up. And you've agreed that you're going to go on holiday with this 50,000 Rand. But a really good opportunity of, say, 500,000 comes along. And that 50,000 then would be needed to invest as your deposit because the bank will only give you 90% in terms of a bond. So now you've got to make a tough decision. Am I going to go on a holiday and spend this 50,000 and it will be gone forever? Or am I going to do the wise thing, have a chat with my spouse and say, here's a really good opportunity. Let's work hard to build this property portfolio so that when we retire, we can then really, really enjoy our lives, but retire at a much earlier age than most people will. Entrepreneurship is a lonely journey. And, you know, over the years, the 20 odd, maybe 30 years almost now, that I've been involved in enterprise development and entrepreneurship training and so on. One of the biggest issues is the commitment that people don't have towards their goal. Entrepreneurship is this lonely journey that you have to commit your time, your money, your energy, and your sleep. Entrepreneurs hardly sleep, trust me, but they work hard so that they can live a better at a later stage. So create that new reality where you sacrifice short-term gains for long-term profit or long-term advantage. That's one of the biggest new realities. Then also get ready for tough times. There's going to be tough times ahead. Those tough decisions will lead to tough times. You'll have to invest, and sometimes you'll have to take out of your pocket in order to make that investment work, because that investment isn't always going to pay for itself. So you need to be sure that you have the capacity to be able to cover that investment if you lose your rental income, for example. Get ready for hard work. This is not something for somebody who just wants to sit back, relax, and do nothing. This is something that you have to put in a lot of time, a lot of energy, and a lot of hard work. Be patient. Get used to a reality of patience, because property is not something that you get into lightly and quickly and make money quickly. Yes, you can do flip deals, but they are dangerous. I never, ever encourage my students to get involved in flip deals. Because what if you can't sell the property and you can't find a tenant to rent the space? You still have bills to pay. I much rather prefer a long-term investment strategy where you buy to let or you build to let, where you own the asset and you're building an asset base so that you can get rental income. That is a lot more sustainable and a lot less risky than the flip strategy. Yes, you can make a lot of quick money with flipping, but like I said, it's enormously risky. So be patient, have passion. If you want to do this thing, you must have passion for it. Because without passion, you are not going to be successful. I guarantee you that. And then finally, have faith. If you don't have something or someone that you believe in, that will sustain you through the dark times, through the tough times, I guarantee you're going to fail. Having faith, and you'll find a lot of the guys that are on the circuit, myself, Leroy, who I know is on this call as well, and a bunch of others. They believe in a higher power. We believe that at the end of the day, our God will sustain us. And it's that faith that takes us through the tough times. I'm not saying that God's going to make you wealthy. I'm saying have faith that God will help you through the tough times. So those are the fundamentals, the basics in a very, very short space of time that you need to understand and know in order to get going. Then the most important thing, and a couple of my students, I've sort of wrapped over the knuckles already. I've beaten their backsides mentally. I've said, guys, it's useless you constantly learning and going to this course and that course and getting a mentor and this and that and the other. Unless you implement what you've learned, then whatever you've learned is of no value to you. So take action. That is the main thing. If you take action, you will never be successful. So there's a course that's done by UCT on the Get Smarter platform. I don't want to mention the course. I just thought I'd mention the organization because it's a really good course. And I'm sure more than 1,000 people have done that course now already. It's an online course and you can learn about property and so on. The question I've asked the guys is this: how many of those people that have done that course have actually gone to start up the investment? The answer is less than 1%. And I think to myself, why would you spend all that money doing a course and not implement and not actually go out there and invest and start and develop something or build something? So for me, it's all good and well to learn. It's all good and well to have a mentor and to know all the stuff. But without the implementation, it will all be worthless.
No, Nigel, I think we're going to have to stop there because of time. But I think one of the things that you mentioned there is that your mentor is not going to be like a what do you call it, a white knight coming there with a horse and some shiny armor and saving you, and then he's going to also replace your action. So that's something that people must also get to understand. And with regards to, I wanted to also ask you a little bit about the 100 billion in 10 years that you guys are going to be doing. But I'm opening up for Q&As. If you guys have any questions, just start sending up some questions in the box. I see the only one right now, so you guys can already start with that. And I wanted to say to you that okay, I see some questions there. Okay, that's coming up.
There's a bunch of questions in the chat box as well, eh?
Yeah, I see a lot of them here actually right now. I thought you guys must use the Q&A box for questions so we can be able to see the questions directly, because here we're seeing a lot of comments from people. Okay, so let's see first of all, saying, what do you suggest for pension for a person in their 50s who have their credit facility fully utilized and have a few buy-to-let or less breaking even? Can I do a flip or two to increase cash flows? That's a good question there. That's a good question, because I do encourage flipping very much for building capital, actually, because that's actually how it helped me. And some of the projects I even work on today, Nigel, I promise you, it was all how I learned about creative financing, raising the finance. We raised around 50 million Rand, I think in 3 months, I think last year. And we're still raising more money this year for other different projects that we do. But I also want you to give in your input there on that one.
Okay. So, yeah, that's quite a loaded question, and it has several components to it. So
100%.
I personally never recommend flipping as a strategy, because I'm more about the long-term strategy. But it, like you said correctly, it is a way to generate capital quickly in order. So people use the flip strategy to create capital to then invest in long-term investments.
100%.
So it is a way to create, capital quickly. The risky part is that you don't find a buyer.
Yes.
And in today's environment, after COVID and the lockdown, finding buyers is going to be even more difficult.
Yeah.
Here's my recommendation if you have a flip strategy, that if you have a flip, always have another exit strategy where, and I'm not talking about exit in terms of selling, I'm talking about exit in terms of something else to do. So other exit strategy would be, if the flip deal doesn't work, can I fill the space with a tenant? Is that area in demand from a tenancy perspective?
True.
So can I rent the space? If that is the case, then I would say, sure, go for it. Because if the flip deal doesn't work, at least you know you've got money coming in as a cash flow to cover your expenses.
Yeah.
So the key is to make sure that if you're going to do the flip deal, that you do have a backup plan. Always have a second and sometimes even a third strategy. If the rental income thing isn't working, then maybe have another strategy where you have other investors that will come and partner you on the deal or buy over the deal from you. That's another way to do a flip deal, is to have other people buy over the deal from you, and you make a little less money, but at least you got rid of the thing quickly.
So just to, sorry, Nigel, I wanted to say that there's a difference between flipping and sourcing. I think you must also clarify that one. 100%, because flipping, you're talking about buying a property, getting transferred, cleaning it up, fixing everything up, and then being able to put it on the market to resell it. I don't think that's possible right now. I actually had a couple of flip deals. I had one in Norwood. We bought it for 1.5. We're going to flip it for 2.5. It's going to make around 350,000 Rand on the deal. But we had to cancel it because, COVID-19 hit. Who's going to be buying 2.5 million Rand worth of property? But when it comes to sourcing, I think for sourcing reasons, I think that's when you're saying you can be able to do that and find a quick buyer, make small buck, but it's much better than, trying to do the flipping. I don't think the flipping will work, but you must also specify a little bit on the difference between the two strategies there.
Yeah.
I think we're having more questions that are coming up.
Yeah, so the difference between a flip deal and a sourcing deal is a flip deal, you're actually buying the thing and you're doing a renovation, possibly, maybe just a spit and a polish, you paint it, lay some tiles, change the kitchen, and then you on-sell it again to somebody else. So the effective transfers that happens. Sourcing is where you find deals for other people and you take a commission on it. So you've got investors who are looking for deals. You then the one that goes to source the deal on their behalf because they don't have the time. They buy it, but you get a sourcing fee, not a commission, because you can only earn a commission if you're an estate agent with an FFC license. Let's just be very careful. And there's a very thin line. I see when the new Property Practitioners Act is finally really I mean, it's already low, but people are still skirting a little bit here and there. Once the thing is fully operational, I suspect that sourcing may become illegal if you don't have an FFC license. There's already mechanisms built into the new Property Practitioners Bill that actually doesn't allow you to source anymore, because you'll effectively be acting as a property practitioner. And every practitioner, as defined by the Act, has to be registered with the EAAB and have to have an FFC. So if you don't have a fund certificate, sourcing may become illegal actually. But right now you can still do it. You can actually go and source deals and take a sourcing fee from the buyer. But you're not buying. You're not actually laying out any cash or capital. You're not raising money for it. You're doing it on behalf of somebody else, and they then pay you a fee for that. We
have a lot of questions. So I see another question saying, what's the fundamental question to ask an agent when buying a property from a deceased estate? Okay, that's an interesting one, but I think you'd rather want to go on that one first, and then I'll also add my 2 cents there.
Okay, yeah. First of all, my recommendation, always don't. I'm telling you, there are so many caveats and issues and things that you have to deal with when you're buying from a deceased estate.
It's a mess.
That I never recommend buying from a deceased estate. But if your deal is so phenomenal that you just pass it up, then there's a number of things you need to make sure of. First of all, main thing, is the estate actually wrapped up already? And the people that purport to be in charge that are trying to sell you the property, do they actually have the right to sell the property? Because I've seen so many deals where properties get sold, you've paid, and then transfer never happens. I've had one deal when I was still working in corporate, where I saw somebody do a deal and 15 years later, they still hadn't taken transfer after having the funds over 15 years back. So that's why I never recommend those kinds of, but if you do, make sure that the people that try to sell you the property actually have the right. They must have the correct master's letter of authority in order to act on behalf of the trust or whatever it is. Make sure that the all the taxes are paid. Make sure that the municipal
bills,
taxes, all that stuff is paid. There's a myriad of things that you need to check out, but those are sort of the main things from my perspective. I've never really looked into it in depth because it was something that I just always felt that's something I'm going to steer.
I think you must also be ready for the transfer taking longer than usual.
Much longer,
so that's something, and you don't even have control over that. You can't even estimate to say 5 months or 6 months. And if you have holding costs there, if you're trying to do a flip, I'd rather say, as you said, look for something else. Okay, we have another question from Felicia. She's saying, if one has cash flow, is it better to reduce current loan on the investment property or grow the portfolio? That's a good one. So she wants to know if she can build in some equity in the property by perhaps maybe saying 30 years instead of 20, or reduce the loan as in paying back. I think that's another where you need to what do you call it? Specify a little bit of what you're talking about, Felicia. But do you understand the question, Nigel? Do you want to answer?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll send you my bank details privately. So everything depends on your goal.
Yeah.
That's why I always say start with the end in mind. Whatever your goal is, if your goal is to build a property portfolio as quickly as possible, then I would use that money to buy more property instead.
Yeah.
If your goal is only to have that one property and you want to pay it up as quickly as possible so that you can sit back and get the rental income without having a bond, then I would say put the money back into your bond. Because the more money you put in your bond, the quicker you pay it off. So if, for example, you've got a bond of 10,000 Rand
Yes.
per month, okay? It's a R1 million property and it's 10,000 Rand a month. If you pay 10,000 Rand a month, you could reduce your period from 20 years to 13 years, which then means by year 14, you have that income without any expenses other than your running costs. So again, whatever your goal is, if your goal is long-term to build a massive portfolio as quickly as possible, rather you need to buy more property. If your goal is to pay up this bond quickly so that you can have that income and that's your only property, then yes, go and put the money into the bond. But don't spend the money on holidays.
When holidays until further notice. Okay, another question here. Another question here is saying that what do you advise two properties in the 1 million Rand range or one property in the 2 million Rand plus range? That's a very interesting question there. That's an interesting one.
Again, it depends on your goal. What are your goals?
Yeah.
Do you build, what type of portfolio do you want to build? So if you want to buy in portfolio, then yes, go and buy the one property. If you want to buy lower end where your rental is guaranteed, because it's much more difficult to find a tenant on a 2 million Rand property than a 1 million Rand property. So depends on what type of portfolio you want to build. If you want to build a high-end, high-quality portfolio with a risk of maybe not getting the income stream you require, then by all means. But if you want to build a rental portfolio that you are guaranteed rental income, that there's 100,000 people in the market looking for that type of property, then I would recommend the 2 units at R1 million.
Yeah.
And then it depends on your financial capacity to lend money or the partner you have. Is your capacity such that you can do multiple deals, or is your capacity only to be able to do one deal? So you need to look at that as well. So there's a whole range of different things that you need to look at. But me personally, and with my goals, I would rather buy the 2 properties because I can guarantee there's a much better chance of getting rental income from those 2 than just the one. The other issue is also with 2 properties, if one tenant doesn't pay, at least you still have income from the second tenant. Whereas one property, you only have one tenant, so if you lose them, you have no income.
100%,
so that's
100%.
Rather buy more bulk. If you've got 10 million, rather buy 10 units of R1 million than 5 units of 2 million, because
100%.
is much lower in terms of your cash flow being cut with the loss of the tenant in the 10 units than there would be for the 5 units.
True. And I also recommend, I think, Karina, you'd rather buy 4 properties, actually, less than 500,000 and avoid transfer duty there. So that's also another thing you can look into. And then, especially if you're buying smaller properties and they have like good rental income, you might actually get good returns, better returns than that. But depending on your buying cost, as you mentioned, Nigel, so depending on the buying cost, you have money for the transfers. But I think when you're talking 1 million Rand going up, then you're looking at transfer duty. So that's also something that's going to be eating out on your money there. Otherwise,
anything less than R1 million, you don't pay transfer duty. You will pay the transfer fees, obviously, to the attorney. There are costs, but at least your transfer duty, which is the biggest cost, you don't have to pay R1 million.
100%, 100%. That's what I would even recommend. But anyways, let's talk about, as Edgar Jaji saying, why BEE failed in general, given the over 20 years that it has been in place, and specifically why in the property sector is still not transformed. Okay. All right. So, okay, but before Nigel answers that, I gave you guys Nigel's contact details before you guys leave, because I see some of you guys have to be leaving us today. Please go and check out Nigel's information there. You will see that I gave you guys the EDPF website, and I also give you guys the EDPF Property Academy website. So check them out. Check, these guys are doing incredible stuff. Actually, you didn't tell us about the 100 billion rand in 10 years. So let's talk about the questions, and then we'll close out on that. Otherwise, I want you guys to take advantage of that. And for you guys who are leaving already, just check that out as you go out. Check out our free books and also check out our course. I think we will look forward to working with you guys. And questions, please try to use the Q&A section so we can be able to answer your questions. So Nigel, do you want to go and answer Edgar's question there about BEE?
Yeah, sure. Okay. So yeah, there are three more things that I just want to, so we'll answer this question, and two things that I quickly want to talk about, including the 100 rand.
Okay.
We're not talking million, we're talking billion.
Billion, yeah.
We're talking nines, 10, 11
zeros.
zeros.
It is 11. Wow. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had to check for myself how many zeros. Yeah. So
okay.
In terms of the BEE, part of the, I believe there are two main reasons. One, because there was not enough political will to make BEE work. So in terms of, it's all good and well to put policies in place, but unless you have political will to make it work, it won't. And what happened was that some key players, those who were in the know, those who had the contacts in government at a very high level, ministerial level, presidential level, and so on, those people benefited big time. And you can see there are a bunch of out there that benefited from being politically connected. But because there wasn't enough political will to enforce BEE, it never worked. The other thing is there was always a carrot but never a stick. Whenever you do anything and you want people to come over and do something that they don't really want to do, because let's face it, this is something that the previously advantaged don't want to do. Even today, 7 years after democracy, and we're still having the same fight about why BEE should be a factor within the industry or any industry, the economy as a whole. You have to have not just a carrot, but also a stick. The carrot is you can get government business.
True.
What the non-BEE companies were doing is they were saying, okay, cool, if we can't get government business anymore, we'll focus on the normal sector, the private sector, and then we'll sell off all the assets that rely on government business to black people. That's what they did in the property sector. That's exactly what happened. All the assets where government was the tenant was sold to black entities.
Yeah.
So instead of them transforming, they sold off those assets. So that carrot was of no value to them, because now we're not doing any more government business. Why should we transform? So that's what I'm saying. If there is a stick where government says, if you don't transform, you will get X fines. If you don't transform, we will shut your business down. Because in effect, what you're doing by not transforming, you're breaking the law. You're actually breaking the law, because the triple BEE is an act. It's an act of parliament. It is a law that you have to comply with. Now, if you're not complying, you're breaking the law. And if you break the law, normally what happens? You either get sued by government or you go to jail. This law does not have that mechanism. Or it does, but it's not being implemented going back to the whole thing about political will. If there was enough political will, there'd be a stick that says, just like the Competition Commission, if you do not comply, you will be hauled in front of the Competition Commission, and you will get major fines. Look at the arms industry and the metal industry and all these guys. The 15 billion rand fine was just recently handed down to the construction industry for collusion in the tribunal at the Competition Commission. Now, if we had that similar mechanism within the BEE strategy, where if you don't comply, you get a massive fine, then we would have had more transformation, in my opinion. And it's
100%.
just not.
So you're just saying there's not enough accountability structure going on to keep people accountable enough for them to take action on the transformation.
Exactly.
But I think,
exactly.
100%. But I think at the same time, we cannot wait for the industry. I think at some point, as much as we can't play victim, I just want to say that. As much as is a reality that, we are previously disadvantaged and some of the things are rolling out and they're going to be slow, we cannot wait for the government to fix everything up. We have to take
exactly.
Responsibility.
And that's exactly,
Ezra,
that's exactly where EDPF comes in.
Yeah.
That's why EDPF exists. We said, you know what? We can't wait for government. We can't wait for industry to eventually up and transform.
True.
So let's force the transformation by creating an environment where we educate, where we give to opportunities, access to finance, and make the transformation happen through industrial means, as opposed to waiting for a handout.
No.
And do something to make the change, create the
100%.
change, be the change
100%.
that you want to see. That's one of the mottos: be the change you want to see, and that's what it does. And that then takes us to the 100 billion rand discussion.
Yeah,
just to be the biggest black-owned property fund that has ever existed, but more than that, we wanted to be the actual property fund and 100 billion rand mark. So we are creating something that hopefully in 10 years will be worth $1 billion rand. That is the biggest black-owned, but not just biggest black-owned, but biggest property company in this country. And the 100 billion rand mark. So we're working with our candidates. We are working with external parties. And ultimately, when we are done, we will consolidate all of those properties into one fund. And that fund will be listed on the stock exchange and will be black-owned.
Wow, that would be incredible, man. That would be incredible. Otherwise, I see a few questions here, guys. We already passed 1 o'clock, and so sorry for taking this long. I see Pila saying, wonderful. Can you elaborate a little bit more on the fees you don't have to pay under 1 million? I might have been doing my numbers wrong. Okay, so Pila is one of my students also. I think we're talking about transfer duty, Pila, and if you're using Uber online, you're not going to see, you'll see on the transfer costs. Under your transfer cost, you're going to be seeing some of the fees that are required there. And then if the property is over R1 million, it will automatically give you the transfer duty. And then somebody say, where can beginners access funding in real estate? Look, I think we will just have a session for funding, but this session was enough to just get you guys, started with the fundamentals. Because I see there's a lot of other questions that you guys have here, and we actually are running over time right now. Otherwise, I want to thank you, Nigel, for joining us today, and thank you everybody who joined us. Let's respect other people's time who have to go back to work and to other things that you guys do. Every Thursday we're here with real estate experts and finance experts, obviously, and to keep you guys updated with what's going on in the market, to keep you guys educated, and also so you can be able to elevate your real estate game. Otherwise, we're here to master the real estate game together, as I always say. And I want to say, Nigel, we had a very good session today. We touched on a lot of, as you can see, a lot of people are very curious about how do you get started? What about this? What about that? And the other. And I didn't see the BE question coming, but it was a very interesting one too. Do you have any last remarks you want to say? And then if you guys haven't got Nigel's contact details, I did send you guys the emails, the website on the PDF. And then I did send you guys the academy that you guys have, and then it'll tell you all the information about what these guys do. I think what you guys are doing are phenomenal. There's actually the right strategy that we also need, because we try to enable as many people as we can and help them be equipped to build personal wealth through real estate. Do you have any last words you want to say? And then we're going to be closing off the session today.
So I mean, like you said, there's a ton of questions there. A lot of it relates to finance. Obviously, we need to have another session. But if you want to see at least where most of the funding is within the property sector, did post one of there. I've got two websites. It's edpf.co.za and edpf.propertyacademy.com. Under that website, the Property Academy, there's a property finance link. And that link, you will find almost all the funders within the property sector. We're busy building that particular page so that we have every single funder that is in the sector listed there. So if you're looking for money for a deal, then go to that, to the Property Academy page and click on property finance. And then you'll see a whole long list of property funding institutions, including the banks, there's the Fed Group, there's PIC, there's a whole host of others. So in terms of the funding, as a start, you can go and look at that. But we will talk about funding and where to raise money and so on at some stage, Ezra and I. My two more things that I want to say. Number one, I've just struck a deal with MTN where next year, our candidates are all going to get a tablet. And even if you're not a candidate, you can actually sign up for it, where you get a tablet with 10 gigs of data per month. And all of our education will be hosted in the cloud and you can access it through the tablet. There'll be a dashboard on the tablet, and if you sign up to the contract, we're going to try and make it as low as possible. But every bit of education that you need with regard to property will be hosted on that tablet, not just for our candidates, but anybody who wants to sign up. So I've just struck that deal with MTN. We're going to do some marketing over the next couple of months. And as of January, that thing kicks off. The last thing I want to say is this. Richard Branson quoted, there's a quote from Richard Branson. He famously said these words: "Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity." There's no such thing as luck. Absolutely no such thing. I don't believe there's anything like luck. Luck is when preparation meets opportunity. If you prepare well, you set your goals, you structure your thing properly, you get the right team around you, etc., etc. The opportunities come. When those combine, that's when luck happens. No one on the face of the planet who is wealthy was lucky. They prepared and the opportunity came, those two met and they became wealthy. That's one thing I want to say.
100%. No, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. I see Carlos laughing at the limitless tablet. Yes, this is a limitless tablet. You guys must get in touch with Nigel. I see our Facebook guys also, sorry, our YouTube family are also asking for information. So I'm going to just send them the information for Nigel, get in touch, see what these guys are doing. And then our sessions that we just had today, if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, I'm going to also post it on the chat. Guys, subscribe there, and then you can be able to see some replays. Some of them we do post them outside, some of them we don't. So I'm going to extend that to you guys who are in here online on the Zoom call. Otherwise, I thank you guys for your time, and I hope you guys found this sessions valuable. Me and Nigel also talk about the property, what do you call it, guys? The funding stuff. Also, send me questions about some of the sessions and some of the things that you guys want us to touch on, because these sessions are actually just meant for you guys to be able to, learn as much as you can and take advantage of them, because people charge for such sessions, and we try to make sure that you guys get this information for free. And as Nigel said today, if you don't implement this and you just take so much information and read 10 books or 20 books about property, you're not even putting in an offer, you're not taking a session, you're not doing anything, you're not out there doing deals, you're going to have a little bit of a problem there. Otherwise, I hope you guys enjoyed this session. And Nigel, thank you very much for joining us today. This is where we're going to be ending our session. I hope you have an incredible day going forward. Otherwise, thank you very much. This is where we're going to be ending our session. See you next week, Thursday, 12 p.m., same place, same time. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys. Cheers, Ezra.